Joining us, the national spokesperson for the Trump campaign, Katrina Pierson. Always good to see you. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Chris. Great to be here.
So here's the concern about Trump's temperament. Forget about what he says about the media. That's low-hanging fruit, Katrina. If you can't go after the media, who can you go after? But how do we know that when dealing with the French president, if that man says or woman says something that Trump doesn't like, he won't call them a loser? Where is the confidence that his temperament would change as president?
Well, I think that the American public are less concerned with the names that Mr. Trump would call someone and more concerned with the outcome. Mr. Trump is committed to putting Americans and their families first, and people understand. Foreign leaders are not going to like that. Mr. Trump has listed a number of reasons why our country is doing poorly, but yet we're continuously helping other countries, and that's going to change. Now, this is an example of not being in the media. Look, the president of a foreign country is not a reporter. As Mr. Trump mentioned yesterday at the press conference, many of these reporters know the facts but choose to write horrible stories about him or portray him in a negative light. And that's not what's going to happen when Mr. Trump becomes president, because we will have the available resources to put out to the American public where the policies of the past have failed and what we want to do. So it's not even going to get to the point of a temperament question because the people are going to be behind Mr. Trump.
So you're saying that he says what he says because he doesn't have the resources to fight on the facts? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is we have the resources. For example, I've been watching this morning on CNN talking about how Mr. Trump could have had a good press conference yesterday when many of the people in this country thought it was a fantastic press conference yesterday because he was defending himself and fighting back against the media. When he becomes president of the United States,
what was he fighting back against, Katrina?
With the policies,
well, how was he fighting back? Who was fighting against him?
The misrepresentation of this, in example, is the veterans charities. Mr. Trump, in a 24 hours notice, decided to host a fundraiser where he received pledged donations up to $6 million. The CNN headline not too long ago was, Trump campaign admits they didn't raise $6 million. But guess what? It was $5.6 million. Shouldn't the headline have been, look at all this money that Mr. Trump raised for veterans, skipping a Fox News debate and helping out people that he's claimed to support? That was actually the media play here, but no, there were media headlines saying that Mr. Trump was pocketing the money, for crying out loud, so of course he was upset about that.
Katrina, he created this media play. He brought the vetting to us. He asked me to follow up on it. I've talked to you about it. I've talked to Corey about it, Corey Lewandowski. It was never done in the negative. Nobody's reported on the veterans charities and the need for follow-up more than CNN, more than this show. We got Drew Griffin to help us out with the investigative reporting. Do you see malice in that?
Well, look, Mr. Trump also said that it wasn't 100% of the media that was doing this, but I think it is fair to say that some of those in the crowd yesterday that were asking questions were, in fact, reporting this in a negative light. And it's absolutely fine and fair play to ask the questions and to get the responses that you're looking for. But at the same time, if you know the facts, as Mr. Trump pointed out yesterday, and you know what was going on, because I've been on this show talking about it takes 6 weeks to 6 months to vet some of these charities, but yet 3 months into it, they're saying, well, none of these charities received the money, when in fact that they did. Well, 22 organizations were released months ago.
Right, but that's because you're assuming that what you said was accurate. And in truth, if you want to find out if a group has 501c3 status, it's a phone call. It's not a months-long process. But that's not really the point. Katrina, when you don't like what I say, do you call me an idiot? No. Why not? Why is it okay for Donald Trump to do it, but not for you to do it right now with me? This is your chance. You don't like the reporting. You don't like how I put the questions. You're not going to call me something like that, right? Why is it okay for him to do it?
Well, it depends. If you're attacking me personally, I might call you an idiot, but you don't do that. And we are talking about the issues. And Mr. Trump is being attacked personally on a daily basis.
How? Has anybody ever said, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, you're an idiot, aren't you? Nobody's ever asked him a question like that to invite this kind of invective. And again, the media...
Actually, I do. No, absolutely. Chris, there was a debate where he was actually asked if his campaign was a clown and if it was an act. I mean, of course he's been attacked personally by the media, and you see it in social media as well, by reporters specifically. And look, it's not just Mr. Trump that doesn't trust the media and believes that they're dishonest. I mean, Gallup tracking shows
that's absolutely
that people
true.
under 50, only 36%
It's absolutely true. I would argue that's why he does it. I would argue that's why he does it, because Donald Trump loves the media more than you ever have on your best day. He loves the media, he works the media, he uses it, he appreciates its value, and it has served him well, those tactics and those skills in this election. I'm asking of it as a projected temperament. That's the only concern. I don't care how he treats the media. That will wind up coming home to roost for him or not if he wins this election. But when he deals with other people, we keep hearing from you and others, he's not like this in private. He'll be different when he's dealing with other world leaders. Where does the confidence come when we have never seen him treat anyone any differently than he treats opposition right now?
Well, I think that goes the same with your peer group. I mean, it's quite obvious that, of course, when Mr. Trump is in a boardroom with peers and colleagues, he's not talking to them the way that he's talking to the media. And why? Because they're not talking to him and treating him the way the media is doing to him today. So it's all about give and take. Mr. Trump is a counterpuncher. This is nothing new. If there's a foreign leader that sits down with Mr. Trump and have a discussion, chances are they're not going to be saying the same things in public that they're saying in private either. The people are less concerned about what Mr. Trump is saying as far as criticizing his critics, and more concerned about what he wants to do for the people of this country. And time again, what we have seen over the months is that people are getting to know Mr. Trump's policies better, getting to know him better, and wanting to prefer an American agenda first.
Now, one thing it certainly did was distracted from Trump University in quotes, because obviously years ago the organization was told it couldn't call itself an institution of higher learning anymore. But what do you say in defense to what came out yesterday, which in part had former employees, numerous ones, saying that Trump University wasn't accredited, didn't provide a legitimate real estate education, it was selling false hope? I recall that some consumers showed up who were homeless, or they maxed out their credit cards, that this was about driving revenue, not about adding to people's fortunes.
Well, I think you could also go out there and find individuals that actually were successful after attending these seminar classes. And no, this wasn't an accredited field. This was a voluntary seminar program to learn some things about real estate, and that's what this is about. But at the end of the day, most of Americans are less concerned about what people chose to do and how much money they spent on it, and than they are about what's really happening in the country with regards to education.
You don't think they care if this was a fraud?
Clinton?
You don't think they care if this is found by a court to be a fraud?
Well, and I don't think it's going to be found by the court to be a fraud. I think that most people, when they see an opportunity to sue a billionaire, they try to sue a billionaire, and that's what's happening here.
Katrina Pierson, appreciate you being on New Day, as always. Thanks for not calling me any names.
Great to be here. Thanks, Chris.